Guess we don't have the intro. Good evening and welcome everyone to the July 6th Muscatine City Council meeting. Would you all please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fran, will you please do the roll call tonight?
Councilmembers Raywalt,
Present.
Fitzgerald,
Present.
Nafig,
Present.
Salcedo, Bynum, Harvey,
Present.
Spread.
Present.
6 present, 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, Fran. We come to tonight's portion in the meeting where we take communication from citizens. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to something that's not currently on tonight's agenda? If so, please come to the podium and say your name and address.
You want to go first? Sure, I'll go first.
All right, good evening, City Council. My name is Derek Lentz. I live at 3110 Pear Tree Lane. I come to you this evening in terms of the fireworks here in town. I come today because people I knew were saying they were going to come to complain. I'm actually here to make sure we still keep the ordinance the way it is. I think it's a fair timeline and a safe timeline for where people can use them properly as long as they do it properly and safely. I know this last few days before the 4th, it seemed really crazy in town with a lot of booms and bangs going on, but I think in time, once the hype and the, oh my gosh, this excitement, new kind of thing wears away, it won't literally be as bad. I work at Allsteel, so, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I was pretty tired waking up on the 5th, but, everybody was, fine and not really complaining about it because that's just the way it is. And, in fact, I work with a girl who used to live in Missouri, and she said it was not like this down there because it's not new like it is down there anymore, like it is up here. So I'm hoping that we can still keep the ordinance the way it is. I know that there's going to be complaints about animals and the noises, but once again, it is only once a year, basically. I don't think it'll be nearly like this in the wintertime. There's not going to be any tents. It's going to be too cold for that. So, and obviously with safety concerns, I'm willing to make a video for the town to properly show how to use fireworks properly in their backyard, because I've done it many years myself. And, I can work with the fire department, or I can work with whoever would like to make a video on properly, securing cakes, which are the multi-tubes, or the mortars that shoot the big ball into the air, and also about safety with water hoses and water being around, and also with, rockets and stuff like that. But I think, a week in a year is fair enough. And, I think, once the hype gets down, it won't be nearly as bad. Like last night when I went to bed early, I didn't hardly heard any fireworks anymore. It was maybe 1 or 2, but it wasn't like 10 o'clock at night. It was like at 9 o'clock in the evening. So.
Thank you, Mr. Lentz.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And just as a reminder, it is also a part of the ordinance that there is fireworks allowed over the period of time for New Year's Eve as well. Thank you.
Well, this young man and I talked right before, and we're in an adversarial role.
Certainly.
Okay. Jean Mosh, 1816 Duncan Drive, Margaret Jean. Be a little dramatic. Welcome to the Wild, Wild West. That's been my experience. We were able to simulate that part of our history very well here in Muscatine, sadly. Let me tell you about my experience. Now, my husband's been in and out of the hospital, in and out of the care center. I was glad he wasn't home because he couldn't have handled what was going on, and we had a reasonable neighborhood. I know many didn't. But I was sitting in our home with our puppy, whose heart was going like that. And I really love animals, and I love people, I love children, I love you, but I really am concerned about this. But I found my heart and my chest just tightening up. All the adrenaline was there. That's where we leave our pets. That's where we leave our wildlife, with the adrenaline pumping up, because I had to move to the rational side that they didn't have, unless they were protected by people. I thought, if they don't do something about this, I'm calling PETA. I was very uncomfortable for all this time. I hate to say this, but there's an element in our population that has the inability to be empathic, to be responsible. All they could do is quote the law and their rights, despite the effects that they were having on their neighbors. I have worked in the mental health field for some time. Well, I'm not anymore, but and I know that the abuse that they could use of that in that population, but I know the effect it would have on them and the trauma that it would have on them. I know the abuse of alcohol and those using alcohol and the danger they're in because they aren't going to use those safety cautions that you have generously offered. I know there are people with personality disorders that cannot deal with this kind of responsibility and it's all about the fun or the lack of fun. I have questions. What has changed in safety about fireworks? 80 years old today. I remember when hands and digits and eyes were put out and burns of the body, property damage, and fires. What has changed? What has made it more safe? Other than maybe a responsible person who said, I congratulate you, but I think you're in the minority. And I was told that it was my responsibility, personal responsibility, to report the abusers. So I need to sneak out, see them firing them, report them, put my name on it. I said, oh, sure, I can do that. That doesn't bother me. Then I thought for a minute, what are the consequences for me? What are you asking me to do? What protection are you going to provide me? Will you provide me safety from the unstable, the mean, the selfish, the sick? Question. Question, why was this done? Where were the revenue and where did the money go? I always ask that of any political system. Who's gaining from this? Why did we bring it back? What research was done and what statistics are there to show that this is a safe thing to do in a crowded community within the city limits? I think of 100 to 1,000 people behind me because I've had people whisper to me, tell them. So I picked 2 out. Tell them for me. I'm recovering from leukemia, says this 30-year-old very quietly. I've trying to keep a job. I haven't been able to sleep more than 2 hours, and the time where the hours are not consistent. I don't work a 9-to-5 job. I had my little 9-year-old boy afraid that the house was going to burn down. I had to deal with that. Tell them, she said, please tell them. Others whispered that another 30-year-old woman with children from 9 to 16, she said, tell the city that you've ruined my 4th of July for the very similar reasons that I talked about, being prisoner in our home, having fireworks coming from all different directions, at all different times of the day, all different times of the night. Please tell them they ruined my 4th of July for me and my children. I've heard of dogs so frightened, it's my next door neighbor, so frightened, and they were left alone in the house, it dug up the whole carpet trying to get to the basement. There are babies in homes and need sleep, and they can't deal any rational with them. What is going on in my small world? They have the chronically ill. If my husband had been home, he'd have been one of those. And we have the special needs for people. That's not being addressed in this. In the city, with populations with so many needs, we just decide we can make all the noise we want whenever within that realm, which is very broad and very generous of you, but it doesn't create a safe and a peaceful community. I have a
Mrs.
neighbor
Mosh, I'm sorry, we're running out of time.
Okay, I'll make it short. My husband said it was a little long.
Thank you.
Okay, a neighbor who won't come, she's from Chicago, it says it doesn't make, it won't do any good. Is that who we are in Muscatine? Are we becoming a Chicago and that we won't listen to the people? Des Moines, Iowa City, had partial solutions. But what about our farm life and our domestic life and our wildlife out there? What rationale did you use to determine what was in the citizens' best interest? As a government, you act in ex patria. I'm finding it lacking in understanding and of human individual needs or social construct. Who designed these regulations? Please try and justify to me the disaster they have created. And I'm adding on this, I've had to deal, and many citizens, with home damage, car damage, personal property damage, and then we have the emotional, personal damage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. We appreciate it. Hi. Hello.
I'm Nora Dwyer, 3407 Claremont. I'm president of the Muscatine Community Food Pantry. Hi, everybody. Just want to present to the council an idea of possibly providing maybe some leniency in parking tickets outside of the Muscatine County building during the times that the Muscatine Community Food Pantry is open, which is Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 8 until 10:30. We're having, it's much better now that the street's finished, but then there's also, the next project is going to be the parking lot behind the county building will be under construction. So the pantry has moved from the loading dock to the side building. So our volunteers are moving stuff up and down, and it's causing some additional time for them. So they're coming in, and even our volunteers are getting tickets. And I've paid for several because many of these folks don't have a lot of money. They're volunteers. They're trying to do this as a community involvement, be part of something. And the next thing is our clients are getting tickets. And very few of them, if they don't have a quarter, they probably don't have $5 to pay the parking ticket. So then it's a revolving circle that they can't pay the ticket. So I think there's some sort of fine that if they don't pay, they've got so many, I think, that then it accumulates. And then you've got somebody who can't pay $100 in fines, or I think there's something about they can't get a driver's license maybe, or I'm not quite sure of all the regulations for it. So I would like to propose a possibility that we could provide a placard on our volunteers' cars to say, during this time, I'm volunteering at the food pantry, and also to possibly have those spots that are in front of the county building during that time, that we could also put something in the windshield to say, I'm here picking up from the food pantry. Most people are there for 10, 15, very most 20 minutes. And I understand the city's perspective that you've got a revenue stream and all of those things. The folks who are the attendants are lovely people. They're doing their job. And but while the construction is going on, and also even after this, I would just like to propose, can we work on a plan and work together?
I share your concerns, Mrs. Dwyer. I proposed this very similar thing last year. I actually asked the council to consider hooding the parking meters right outside of that building for not only the food pantry people, but the county, the veterans that were going in, because there's also a couple of veterans that go in there.
I'd be more than
We
willing
weren't
to.
able to get that done, but
Okay.
certainly with more help now, maybe we can
Yeah.
get it to come back up for another discussion.
And I'd be more than willing to be on a committee if you need something citizens' input to help come up with a solution. I'm not saying that it's not within the city's rights to have
Certainly.
parking meters and to make sure that people are moving and doing all that. But I just would like to see if we could come up with a reasonable plan to make it work for everybody. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Martin, 504 Evans Street, Muscatine. First of all, I'd like to say I'm happy to see Diana Broderson here, Mayor Diana Broderson, and I also agree with everything that Mrs. Mosh has said. I am one of those that have house damage. I did not let off any fireworks myself. I'm not involved in that at all. But I had fireworks on all four corners of my home. I have a hole in my siding. I have a hole in my swim pool cover. And as you see, I have pictures here to show, and also a close-up of whatever this is laying on the ground by my house. And you'll see it's right below where the hole is. And I brought these pictures up so you can see that there is damage. My question is, why do I have to pay for my home to be repaired and my pool to be repaired? And I also have animals, and it's been a long 10 days. Even if it's been 10 days, it seems like 3 weeks. I don't even know how many days, but it's been very long. And that's all I have to say. If you want me to pass the pictures around.
Free, you can hand them.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Meyer.
First of all, I want to say welcome back, Mayor Broderson.
Thank you.
And I also want to complain about the fireworks going off in my neighborhood. I mean, it's been like a war zone there for the last 10, 15 days, whatever it is that they've been selling them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And there's people, I've seen one of my neighbors the other night on the next block up from me. I was over across the street from where I live at 1012 East 8th Street talking to my neighbor, and there was a guy standing there with bottle rockets in his hand, shooting them off across the lot at the gas station over there. I mean, how stupid is that? Circle K gas station, there are people out there pumping gas. All it takes is them gas fumes to ignite. Once one of those bottle rockets goes off, the whole neighborhood goes up. I mean, it's just totally uncalled for. Last night was the first peaceful night that we've had till 1 a.m. this morning. And I suppose some drunk come home from the bar and all of a sudden decided it was time for him to light off fireworks and wake everybody up. And it went on till about 2 or 3 o'clock this morning before it stopped. It's just out of control. I don't shoot them. Everybody else in the neighborhood does. There's people standing on the rooftops shooting them off. How stupid is that? You're going to set your house on fire. It's dangerous. I mean, the whole thing just needs to either be looked at and revised to where they can't shoot them off within so many feet of a gas station. People that live right behind Circle K gas station are shooting them off, and they're falling over on the lot. That's dangerous. It's not only for them, but for the people that work in that gas station, the people that are in there as customers, and for us, the residents that live in that neighborhood, they have to put up with this. Like I said, that gas station goes up. How many other places are going to go up flame because of it? And it's just totally ridiculous. It needs to be stopped.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Appreciate it.
I'm standing in for Jennifer. She's too shy. She just informed me that her dog died, her horse died. And I'm sure that was from the adrenaline and the fear, and where can they go to hide? That's a big consequence.
Thank you for coming.
Share the sorrow.
Hello, Sue
Hello.
George, 827 Leroy Street. And I'm here because 4th of July was not fun. It was not a celebration. It was constant stress, and people started fireworks far prior to July 1st. And day and night with never a break creates a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. I mean, we're talking about seniors, pets. We have veterans with PTSD. We have wildlife. There's babies that can't sleep and are crying. And just for somebody's fun to set off some fireworks, 20 feet from a building is not reasonable. What happens, I have a very big lot, and even if they're way over, I had fireworks flying over my house. They were on my roof. They were on my patio furniture. They were on my car. It wasn't safe. I see all these embers coming at my house. And what do we do when there's 20-mile-an-hour winds? What do we do when it hasn't rained for 2 weeks and it's dry and these fireworks are going off? It's not fair to the homeowners. The city's not protecting the property owners and their rights by allowing all this to go on. You know, our city has been described as a war zone. That's not fair. and so many animals and families have been affected. And I think we need to follow the lead of other cities, and I think we need to ban the fireworks. That is my first option. And, you know, if I think anybody could put up with something for one day on New Year's or maybe one day on the 4th, but to do it from 9 to 11 at night and you're just constant noise and disruption, it just isn't fair to the citizens of Muscatine. And I want to thank the mayor for taking my phone call over the weekend. She understood my concern, she was empathetic, and she shared some information with me, told me about the meeting, and I actually felt much better after speaking to her, so I appreciate that very much, Diana. And, you know, I'm all for letting freedom ring, but not in my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Roth?
Roger Roth, Clark House, on the sidebar just for these fireworks. The police can only do so much in the fireworks. Well, I saw the police department doing their job with what people they do have after 11 o'clock, explaining to a family not far from where I live, you don't fire after 11. At least they're trying to do their job. As to what I'm here for, in our newsletter at the Clark House, it was mentioned we were to have a shelter for the smokers east of the flagpole. And I am concerned, along with a lot of the other people, are telling this representative they had all these many months in this year or more that they knew there was going to be 50-foot line there between smoking and non-smoking to put the shelter up. It behooves me that something as simple as that, where city staff have to wait this long and longer to find the right type of building within budget restraints to put up there, not only for the smokers, but it could also be used for people suddenly caught in unexpected weather. Their disappointment is it should have been up by July 1st. Where is the shelter? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, we'll move along with tonight's agenda, and that brings us to number 5, the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A, items 8A through G, items 12A through C, and tonight's bills totaling $3,433,823.71.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move down to 11A. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution rescinding resolution number 93879-0617 and adopting the revised resolution accepting completed work performed under the West Hill Sewer Separation Project Phase 3A. At the June 1, 2017 City Council meeting, 2 resolutions were adopted accepting completed work on Phases 3A and 3B for the West Hill Sewer Separation Project. These resolutions did not reflect the final total contract costs and also did not detail the amounts of the liquidated damages on these phases of the contract. Staff is requesting that City Council adopt the 2 revised resolutions for this project. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second? Tom? Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Raywalt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Nat-Vig?
Aye.
Spread?
Aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
And Saucedo.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And the second part of that is a resolution to rescind number 93880-0617 and adopt the revised resolution accepting the completed work performed under the West Hills Sewer Separation Project Phase 3B. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Saucedo, how do you
Aye.
vote? Harvey?
Aye.
Spread?
Aye.
Raywalt?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
And Natvig.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11C, presented for City Council's consideration tonight is a resolution awarding the contract for the landfill Cell 5 and Leachate Lagoon construction project. 2 bids were received, with the low bid from Ritmer Incorporated with a total package bid of $622,608. There is $550,000 budgeted for this project in the landfill budget and $200,000 in the remediation plan budget, which will cover the cost of the Leachate Lagoon construction. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing,
Did we get the budget for the 550 from the consultant?
That's been the budget for a number of years that we've been working with. There's also $150,000 budgeted to relocate or build a new building on site. Public Works is evaluating whether or not we can save some funding there and relocate that building rather than build new. I'm not sure when we'll have an answer, but hopefully shortly as well. But 550 is the number that we've been working with for several years now. We had 2 bids.
Yeah, I saw the difference on the other one too, so.
And the lagoon was never part of that original budget amount. That was the new requirement that Tim Bulow reported on, if you recall,
Okay.
a little while back.
All right, thank you.
hearing no other discussion. Councilman Harvey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Saucedo?
Aye.
Spread?
Aye.
Natvig?
Aye.
Raywalt?
Aye.
Fitzgerald.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11D, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution awarding the contract for the 2017 Cleveland Avenue Reconstruction Project. 3 bids were received, with the lowest responsible bid received from the All-American Concrete Company in the amount of $403,889.10. The estimated cost for the project was $360,000 to $410,000. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Fitzgerald, how do you vote?
Aye.
Raywalt?
Aye.
Spread?
Aye.
Natvig?
Aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
Saucedo?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11E, presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution awarding the contract for the 2017 asphalt overlay project. The only bid received was from Iowa Investments in the amount of $519,250.10. The estimate for this project was $650,000. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you, Phil. Any discussion?
Quick question. Were we surprised we only got 1 bid? We weren't surprised, okay.
This is the one that the RFP just went out recently, is that right? When did the RFP go out? Roughly.
Roughly 3 weeks ago, I think. Do you have the date?
I think that, didn't we at the last meeting discuss the advisability of sending these out
Sooner next time, yes.
6 months sooner? We get
Yeah,
more
and
bidders?
we'll definitely do that. Historically, we've only had 1 bid on this for the last couple of years anyway, so I'm not too surprised that we only got 1 bid.
Brian, do you think that's because of the size of it? That there just aren't that many?
Honestly, I don't have that background, so I don't know. Randy can maybe speak to that a little bit better, but that's probably part of it.
Is it almost the same company, or do they kind of rotate?
No, it's been Illiwa since I know, for all I know, for.
I thought we,
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Brian. Hearing no other comments, Councilman Salcedo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Spread?
aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
Raywalt?
Aye.
Nat Vig?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11F, presented for City Council's consideration, is a resolution declaring certain real estate owned by the city as surplus and authorizing its sale. The City Council accepted the properties by motion at its May 4th, 2017 City Council meeting. It is now necessary for the City Council to adopt the resolution declaring the deeded properties as surplus. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who made the second?
Mike and Santos seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Raywalt, how do you vote?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Nat Vig?
Aye.
Saucedo?
Aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
And Spread.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. 11G, presented for City Council's consideration, is a resolution authorizing the submission of an application to the Iowa Department of Economic Development for Community Attraction and Tourism, the CAP program funding for the Pearls of Progress project. The Community Improvement Action Team, CIAT for short we call it, has determined the City of Muscatine should not let this opportunity pass to fund these needed improvements to the quality of life for our city. The deadline for submission of the application is July 14th of this year. This may be the final opportunity for communities to apply for CAT grants. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted? But I see we have some people to comment from our CIAT team.
Right, thank you, Mayor.
Take the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm Gary Carlson, 104 Deer Path Lane.
Rich Dwyer, 3407 Claremont.
And Rich and I are two of the volunteers on CIT. As you know, many of you have attended those meetings, and we'd just like to, before you cast your vote, just to remind you of the projects that we've been working on for a long time. And those projects take, city funding, county funding, certainly contributions have been made, and some significant contributions have made because the library is one of these projects, and as you know, the H&I donated the building for the new library. And so as we look at the additional dollars, we think it makes sense to apply for a community attraction grant, because if we can get some money from the state from this program, it just takes some pressure off of local tax dollars and takes pressure off of trying to raise money, in the private sector. So it's a competitive process. We may or may not get any funds. We may not get the funds that we have applied for in the past. Some of you will, well, certainly Phil will remember that we have gone through this process other times, and Muscatine received a community attraction grant back when we did the riverfront development work in the Pearl and Mississippi project. But it has been 15 years since Muscatine applied for one of these grants, so we think it's a reasonableness that we can be competitive. Plus, we believe that we've got some outstanding projects to be able to do that. We have lots of volunteers that have been working on these projects, since the library and dog park and Deep Lakes Park and trails. And as you know, we have many volunteers throughout our community that all help support those projects. So Rich and I would like to encourage the council to vote for the application. We may get it, we may not get it, but it doesn't take an additional commitment by the city to do it, other than it certainly strengthens the application with a resolution, and the city is the body that is submitting the application.
Rich, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I might add to that as well, that there is going to be a point in time that we still would have to go to the community for fundraising for these projects. The CAT grant, if we receive dollars from the CAT grant, that's not going to cover the full cost of what we anticipate for these projects. So that's kind of our next step as part of the committee, is that we want to go out and ask the community to help sponsor and support these particular projects. So more to come on that probably in the next few months, that we'll be coming out with what the amounts will be and what we're looking for.
I know there's been a lot of hard work put into this already. I've been involved in some of the projects. There's such a diverse amount of projects that could get funding from this. I think there's something for everyone.
Absolutely.
That's what we're hoping everybody thinks, Mayor.
Oh, yes.
Gary and Rich, it said, this may be the final opportunity for communities to apply for such grants.
Well, so I'll wear another hat, okay? What I'm concerned about is the CAT grant comes under the authority of the Department of Cultural Affairs, which reports into the Iowa Economic Development Authority. And when they are allocated money in the state budgeting process, whatever monies they do not grant stay in that fund. They do not revert back to the general fund so that they continue to work with communities. They, in the 2008 fiscal 18 budget, were awarded an additional $5 million for grants for community attraction grants. I will tell you I am concerned about the state of the fiscal 2018 state's budget because revenue coming in has been less than was projected and consequently is less than was used for establishing the state's budget. And I will anticipate that when the legislature starts again in January, that there could be a deallocation process that takes place, not unlike what took place in January of this year. So I think that, I'm wearing my Muscatine hat, that we need to get our application in as early as possible, and for those dollars that sit in that fund today, you know, perhaps they will see our project, or even if it takes a little while, because sometimes we have had to go back multiple times, additional information they've wanted for projects or whatever. But if an award would be granted, it would be more difficult for the legislature not to honor the grant.
Good idea.
Thank you.
No promises, but.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
All right, thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, Councilman Spread, how do you vote?
Aye.
Harvey?
Aye.
Saucedo?
Aye.
Raywalt?
Aye.
Fitzgerald?
Aye.
And Natvig.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. Moving on to 11H. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request from Public Works for the issuance of a purchase order for a 2017 60,000 GVW truck. 3 bids were received for this purchase. The low bid did not meet the city's specifications. Staff is recommending that the next low bid from Truck Country of Davenport, Iowa, in the amount of $103,438 be approved. The budgeted amount for this purchase is $110,000. Staff is requesting that City Council take action to approve the issuance of a purchase order for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question out of idle curiosity. How do these people turn in bids that they, you know, just don't qualify? It's not like they've never done it before. Sorry.
Randy Howell, Public Works. The low bidder, this was the first time that he's ever bid a truck to the city of Muscatine, first of all. Second, they threw it together. So basically what we run into was things that was checked yes, wasn't backed up in the order form that would go off to the.
So it's got a beginner.
So, yes. So I invited them, knowing that they were a first-time bidder, to come up, look at our trucks, look at our fleet, so they have an idea on what to bid. I stress that the next time, if they would like to bid again, to please come up, walk through our fleet. We'll show you what we asked for, and that's what we'd like to see the bid on. So.
Thank you, Randy. We're glad you're helping them.
Thank you.
In the past, we have had, you can go ahead and sit down. In the past, we have had somebody quote something because that's what they thought we needed. That's why.
That's very helpful.
That's why it was rejected, so.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11I. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request from Public Works for the issuance of a purchase order for a dump truck, a dump body, and hydraulic hoist for a 60,000 GVW truck. 4 bids were received for this purchase. The low bid did not meet the city's specifications. Staff is requesting approval of the next low bid from Henderson Manufacturing of Manchester, Iowa, in the amount of $42,410. There's $40,000 budgeted for this purchase. Staff is requesting that City Council take action to approve the issuance of a purchase order for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11J, presented for City Council's consideration is a request from Public Works for the issuance of a purchase order for a dump body and hydraulic hoist for a 33,000 GVW truck. 4 bids were received, with the low bid from Henderson Manufacturing of Manchester, Iowa, in the amount of $30,481. There's $40,000 budgeted for this purchase. Staff is requesting that City Council take action to approve the issuance of a purchase order for this purchase. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. Moving on to 11K. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request from Public Works for the issuance of a purchase order for pavement crushing. 3 bids were received, with the low bid from Bushman Excavating of Fairfax, Iowa, in the amount of $75,200. The estimate for this work was $75,000. Staff is requesting that City Council take action to approve the issuance of a purchase order for the pavement crushing. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Santos? Any discussion?
This is a good estimate for us.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. Excuse me. 11L, presented for City Council's consideration, is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order for demolition of the Puritan Ice Building, T-Strake Silos, and T-Strake Building. Proposals for the demolition were received on June 30th of 2017 and were evaluated by staff. Staff is requesting that City Council approve the proposal from Sulzberger Excavating in the amount of $49,800 and authorize the issuance of a purchase order for the demolition of these buildings. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11M, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve an order accepting acknowledgement, settlement agreement, first violation for tobacco violation from Hy-Vee Incorporated, doing business as Hy-Vee Gas. The city finds that the permit holder acknowledged in the agreement that a first violation of Iowa Code Section 453A.2 occurred on March 1st of 2017, and that the mandatory fine for this violation is a $300 civil penalty. The permit holder has submitted a check to the City of Muscatine for this amount. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. 11N, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve an order accepting acknowledgement settlement agreement, a third violation for tobacco violation for Come and Go LC, doing business as Come and Go number 436. The city finds that the permit holder acknowledged in the agreement that a third violation of Iowa Code Section 453A.2 occurred on March 1st of 2017, and that the mandatory fine for this violation is a $1,500 civil penalty. Because it is a third violation, the permit will be suspended for 30 days. The permit holder has submitted a check to the City of Muscatine for this amount. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Alan? Any discussion?
A question, Greg, does this start over every calendar year? The number of violations that they,
Mr. Williamson is here with the county attorney's office, may be able to answer that for us. It does go up to 5 violations, and then after the 5th violation, the license can be revoked. Do you know if it's on an annual basis, or if it's just in general? If you could, please.
So in determining the number of violations, in this case, a third violation, it's 3 violations within 3 years. Second violation would be 2 violations within 2 years. So it's basically that number of violations in that many years.
Thank you for clearing that up for us.
okay.
Any other? Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. Moving on down to number 14, communication from council members. Councilman Raywalt, do you have anything to share tonight?
A question, please. Greg, you can give us a report on the Mississippi Drive project.
I will certainly have asked Jim Edgman to come on up. He should be prepared to do that.
Good.
Council, is there any specifics that you're after, Mike, or just in general?
In general, I saw in the information we received that they hope to be done by the end of August. Is that correct?
That is true.
How can we impress upon them that hope is not a strategy?
The Mississippi Drive corridor project's about 11% complete right now.
11?
11. The completion of the whole entire project as designed, including Chestnut Street, will definitely not be complete by August 31st. Definitely not. The discussion this morning was that we would have a much better picture of the completion date once they completed the sanitary sewer that they finally were able to get to after a 6-week wait, just starting this week. The deep drop to the deepest part of that sanitary sewer has been completed. They were able to do 80 foot of that a couple days ago. I think they did about another 80 foot of it just today. So that is progressing towards Chestnut, that sanitary sewer. And once that is done, we have to backtrack and put in the 69 kV duct bank that has to go down the middle of that street. That would, in essence, be close enough to where that sanitary sewer is that they didn't want to try to do them at the same time. Completion date right now is hopefully at the earliest into September. I don't perceive that there are any problems with that, because the majority of the work that won't be done at that point in time is the work that actually we've been requested not to do in coordination with the hotel. So there is daily communication back and forth between the hotel and ourselves, the city, and everything is okay. Everything is fine.
The city's happy if you do half that block of Chestnut at a time, is that correct?
Say that again. Happy if they do that block of Chestnut half at a time?
Half at a time. They do one half and they can get materials around the trench and
yes.
the other half.
And one of the things that has really got us, well, I shouldn't say really got us hung up, but it is delaying us, is that they are still taking delivery of masonry material on one side of Chestnut and dragging it across Chestnut to get to the hotel with it. We were able to negotiate with them a 3-day break, and we were able to get the water main put in up that street. We are in the process of trying to identify another 3-day period of time where we can then get the sanitary sewer in, which will go a long ways towards us completing it as quickly as possible. Then just the street pavement and the storm sewers that need to go in there too. So once they get the masonry work done and no longer have to have cranes and large lifts and everything set out there, we'll be able to complete that pavement quicker. So the coordination meetings that we have, the hotel people have been attending, or at least getting briefings on, and I have been going down and chatting with the guys at the hotel from Merit on a weekly basis, if not some days, some weeks daily, because it's back and forth. I mean, today, as an example, they had a truck crane that was in the way of us today, so we chatted it over and we got it taken care of. But that whole coordination thing is going on almost daily.
Jim, when the water came up and there was concerns were first, well, we can put a crew here and then we'll crew down there, and then we can always put 2 crews back on that original area.
Yes.
What happened to that?
Well, like I said, they just got started on that sanitary sewer just a couple days ago.
And how many bodies does 2 crews amount to?
I would guess 6, 7, 8 people.
Originally, they were going to do the work with 3 people?
One of those crews, okay, so let's do 8. Operator, supervisor, 2 bottom men, got a trucks and et cetera, but they would probably service both crews. But the second crew hasn't been there, but the discussion was held just this morning at the coordination meeting about when that second crew would arrive. They need to get a little distance away with that sanitary sewer so they can start to do the work on the duck bank.
And what was the answer to when this wonderful second crew would be available?
I have no set date for you.
So that was kind of folly, wasn't it, then?
No, I believe that they will do that, but we have no set date for it, because I believe that we need to get more progress on that deep sanitary sewer. I mean, it would serve no, if they estimated, if they were to tell me we'll do that in a week, and it doesn't happen in a week, then I come here and tell you it's going to happen in a week, and then it doesn't happen in a week. I would much rather get, like I said, we'll have a better picture in a little while once we get further along on that sanitary sewer, where we don't have to worry about it as deep as it is.
Does MPW have a role going down that?
Water main has to go into, but that's one of the things that we flip-flopped and worked on. So the water main work up Chestnut is done, and I believe the water main from Chestnut to Iowa is done. Now, that wasn't in the original plan, but the contractor was able to take and flip-flop their plan to do that, to try to save some time. The other question that I anticipate is rolling around in somebody's brain somewhere is why is there pavement down on the stretch between Iowa and Sycamore? And the answer to that is because that's another place that they could get the underground work done in advance and do that while we were waiting for that water level to go down.
2 lanes done, don't they?
What's that?
They have 2 lanes done, don't they?
Yes. So if you would just bear with me for a second, because it's just in general, and the West Hill project that's currently going on is 40% complete. The trail that was just let a little bit ago is 16% complete, and like I said, the Mississippi Drive project is 11% complete.
Thank you. Is that Mississippi Drive project contract written to take into account river, stage, and weather conditions? Because obviously they can't work under certain circumstances.
That is why it was written with a completion date built in, but also built with working days for such things as delays like that. And so their primary overall guiding critical path included getting that sanitary sewer done right away. And like I said, it's been 6 weeks, roughly 6 weeks. I think it's actually been a little bit more than 6 weeks since they've been able to, since the contract started and since they've been able to get to that. It's a combination of things, but it has to do with the river level. But I don't know that I really want to launch too far into this because I really don't know the details of this. But it also has to do with some other things that have caused that water to be higher in that sewer than what was manageable.
Jim, we'll look forward to next week, an update from you.
Sure.
And I hope you'll relay our concerns to the company, and
They were relayed in spades this morning.
we may wish them to come and visit us.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Jim.
much, Jim.
Thank you.
I have one question for you, Matt. Based on working days, how do you think they're doing?
Based on the working days allotted, they're 11% complete, but we've only used 7%, I believe, of the working days allotted for it. So they are doing just fine
okay.
based on that track.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Thanks, Jim.
Do you have anything else, Councilman Raywalt?
No, thank you.
Councilman Spread?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councilman Harvey?
I'd just like to remind the citizens that Saturday, I think, is our second Saturday, and invite all of you to go downtown and enjoy the festivities and the sales and the food and entertainment and everything that goes with it.
Thank you. Councilman Natvig?
I just wanted to mention I'd gotten a lot of input on the fireworks, not only from the people tonight, of course, but emails and phone calls, and I've been telling them that we intend to have a review, debriefing, whatever you want to call it, of the whole situation, because the input that I've been given has been well reasoned and thought out, and a lot of legitimate, solid concerns. So I want the citizens to know that we're going to take a good hard look at this. So.
Thank you. Councilman Saucedo?
I agree with Scott. We had received a lot of phone calls. One of the challenges that I gave back to one of the citizens that had contacted us is we cannot regulate the sale. Between June 1st to July, that's a state law. There's cities that are already being sued because they're not allowed to sell them. So I want to be able to get into an in-depth and be able to say, can we tighten this up? Can we make it 1 day, like you mentioned earlier? Can we make it 3 days? I understand, but we also can't just make a knee-jerk reaction, and we want to make sure that we can get everyone's input in, have an in-depth, and be able to do that. We couldn't do that with the limited time that we were able to do. I agree. I heard a lot of it as well, too. So just giving you some input, we are going to address it. We are going to discuss it. We want to follow up with the citizens. We're not just going to make a decision with rationale and get an input from all the parties and try to make a best decision for the community. But it's difficult when you cannot control the sale. That's where it's a two-edged sword that we have to try to address. I do know that we did have 8 arrests. We did have multiple calls that were followed up on by our police force, and there was 65 plus warnings. Some were juvenile, some were not. 140 were not able to be accounted for. So we are addressing it, and we are going to follow up on that. And I wanted to also follow up with Dick Drake Way. I had mentioned I'd sent an email in regards to that was opening up. That was a quick turnaround. I was down on that project. I was very appreciative of the Public Works and working with the MPW and those departments, higher constructions, and Haggerty as well too. I'm sorry, yes, and yeah, great work through all the works and programs on that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Fitzgerald?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Staff?
I don't have a date for the fireworks, but when we do have a date, and after we've gathered up that information, we'll certainly be out there publicizing the date and let everybody know when that date is. So, absolutely.
And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you for all your support. It is great to be back in your service. Good to see you all. We are going to take a 5-minute recess while we move into closed session.
Should do that.